When it is their room, rather.
Yeah, they might have stepped away, but I'll give them some grace on that. But yeah, if you want to DM them or if they're your friends, or at least you know
Yeah,
them.
I mean, they both know. I mean, that's why I got them in here in the first place. So.
Start pinging them and dinging them, man. Say, wake up.
Yeah, I have been.
Awake, O sleeper, and Christ will give thee life.
Remember, Matt,
Yeah.
the atheists have a criterion of belief, and apparently God hasn't met that criterion. But whatever their starting point is, that kind of belief either.
Mm-hmm.
So the atheism, by its own account, is incoherent. You know, they want to bait and switch for a criterion. When it comes to God, God must be rationally justified. But when it comes to their fundamental starting point as to the nature of just their unjustified axiom.
Oh. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, they're back.
Oh well.
Okay, so why are you guys atheists?
Well, I just don't believe in I can't imagine believing in God because like it's like nothing to prove about it. There's no factual proof or anything like that. And Tyler's been over this with me about talking about
You're a little too close. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
You're a little too close to your mic source.
Oh yeah, sorry, my mic is yeah, it's a little.
Okay, go ahead.
I turned on my head. Yeah. So Tyler has really been over this with me mostly about how like most logical reasoning is it should be the correct one. That's why he believes God exists. Because if there's nothing they created, then then what is the
Well, so your position is there's no reason or evidence for God?
Yeah.
Okay, could you tell me what since God is not the causal origin of everything that begins, what is?
Sorry, your mic is working up for me, but can you restate that?
I'm not. Are you guys understanding him?
Your mic is like really
enunciate and move a little bit away from your mic.
Yeah.
Oh my boy.
Yeah, you're just way too
It's
close
really
to your mic source.
laggy, dude.
Okay, so
I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know.
Since you don't believe that God is the causal origin of everything that begins, can you tell me what is?
I don't, but that's the thing. I don't have an answer for that either.
Okay, since you don't know what the causal origin of everything that begins is, can you tell me how you ruled God out?
Or just it doesn't seem logical.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right. Let's make this really All right, I'm back. I'm setting up my headset. Hold on. Give me 1 second, please. All right, say something.
Who?
Yeah, Mortiz, you listen. You sound like you're half a gymnasium away from your microphone. You got to fix it.
Well,
Come on.
No,
or what? Wait, what are we reporting the Discord server?
no, you may not record it unless you're given permission. And if we find out you're recording it, you'll be banned. Okay, so KJ, since you have deemed that God is not the causal origin of everything that begins, and you don't know what is, can you tell me how you ruled God out?
No, it just doesn't seem logical to me.
That doesn't tell me anything informative.
Well, yeah, that's just most opinion. Basically, if there's no truth or fact about it, then why?
Listen. You have ruled out God as the causal origin. When you say there's no evidence for God, that is the equivalent of saying God as the origin point has no causal relation or connection to whatever entities you refer to. So you have ruled God out. How did you rule God out?
Yes, I already explained
Okay,
it.
good,
Yes,
good. Now, how did you rule God out?
Mic
check.
Yeah, working vet.
Well,
how did you rule God out?
I'm gonna go. No, like I already said, there's just no truth or fact that's like present. I don't see how you can believe in something
That's not an informative response. Look, let me explain something to you. Okay. Suppose we come to a homicide. Okay. And there's a gun on the floor, and I say that gun has no causal relation to the homicide. And I say, okay, then what is? And you go, oh, I don't know. You say, well, then how did you rule the gun out? So you haven't given me anything informative of how you've ruled out God as the causal origin. You told me you don't know what the causal origin is, but you have ruled out God. Do you have a defeater for the existence of God?
No, nothing I can actually like go against. I just don't see like how you can believe in something that's not even like proven. I'm obviously more curious about how like
hold on a second. Are you a teenager?
Yeah.
Oh no, here we go again.
What's your age bracket?
13 to 17, I guess you could tell.
So you're a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell by your rambling. Because when you're young, you haven't developed critical thinking skills. Now, you have ruled God out. So how did you do it? Saying that God is not proven is not an informative statement of how you've ruled God out. If you rule X out as the origin point, how did you rule God out? And if I say, well, you haven't proven X, well, that doesn't show how you've ruled it out. Do you understand your problem?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to tell me how you ruled God out. Saying that you're unpersuaded to the existence of God doesn't tell me how you ruled God out. You want me to tell you why you have?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you don't want to be there to be a God. You're on the run from God. You know you're accountable to God were he to exist. And because you want to believe that the universe and yourself is simply the product of purely materialistic succession, you've got what seems to you to be a plausible explanation of your origin. Therefore, you conclude no God needed. But you see, you do believe that there's some origin point, don't you?
Joe.
What?
Sure.
Okay. So
Yes.
why would you rule out a personal origin point as opposed to a non-personal origin point? Well, the reason why would somebody opt for a non-personal origin as opposed to a personal origin? Because you're going to be accountable to the personal origin. And if you don't want there to be a personal origin, you're going to say, we just got here by a big bang and evolution. Do you know that the numbers of atheists and skeptics skyrocketed after the theory of evolution and a materialistic outlook in terms of cosmology began to sweep the globe? Because they go, I don't need God. So how do we know that material succession is capable of bringing all this about? Do we know this? No, we don't. So you actually don't have a basis for your atheism. So, in your view, there has to be some absolute. Otherwise, how could you say that blue means the same thing that it does right now that it did yesterday? Or sky, or molecule? Something must be securing certain things that don't change. Well, whatever that is either God or not God. So obviously you don't believe in God. So what is it that is absolute that provides for all the unchanging features in existence? What would that be? I have to believe in it. Otherwise, saying of the sky is blue wouldn't mean anything, would it?
Sure.
There has to be something that's absolute. And for you, it's probably matter, energy, causality, and laws of nature. But there's no way you can rationally justify that. So you see, you don't have a rational justification for God, so you say, well, I don't believe in God. But you don't have a rational justification for what you do hold is at square one. So you violate your own principle as an atheist. Atheism is not coherent.
Got quiet.
Yeah, Mortiz, one more time. Fix your microphone.
Hey,
I
Dawkins,
have your volume cranked up to 200% and I can still barely hear you.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, it sounds like you're in an empty room.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm still setting things up, so I just want to make sure. Hear me okay?
I can hear you, Vekal.
who's Mortiz? Is he like a believer?
Hello.
No, he's not.
What's being talked about?
Well, we
So-
were talking about whether or not atheism was coherent.
No. They don't know for sure. So they can't prove or disprove their position. They're on a branch of faith just like everybody else. That's right.
So God hasn't. So God has not made his existence clear, Chad.
I think he could have done a better job.
So then the God. Okay, so then the God of the Bible doesn't exist. Then, if what you say is true,
I think you could do a better job recognizing it.
Well, let me
understand the implications of what you're saying, Chad. Is that God? The God of the Bible declares that He has made His existence overwhelmingly and absolutely clear in everything that has been made. Romans 1. The psalmist says the heavens declare the glory of God. So if you say he hasn't done a good enough job, then the God of the Bible, if what you are saying is true, does not exist. So is Christianity false, Chad?
I don't think so. Look.
Oh, then your statement, then if you don't know that Christianity is false, in the case that Christianity is true, then your statement that he hasn't done a good enough job isn't necessarily true.
Wouldn't the case be that if there's overwhelming evidence that he exists, wouldn't everybody be converted by now?
No, because because you have a faulty understanding of the nature of man. In the Christian worldview, man has a fallen nature. A man either bows in repentance to God, or man deceives himself about some aspect.
We're extremely wicked creatures. I mean, you would agree, right? That we're hopeless sinners without God.
Well, are we still sinners with God too?
No, I'm saying we're still sinners, but I mean, without God, there's no hope. So I'm just saying, I'm just trying to show you. I'm just trying to show you the fact that the reason why people deny that God exists is because they're sinners, and that's. I mean, hopefully that word like kind of gives you a better understanding. To me, I tried to use the word like we're extremely sinful, we're extremely wretched, because to even deny that God exists, it just shows how evil humanity can be.
How can you show a rabid atheist that God exists?
I just want to bring one thing up for you, Chad. The saved are justified sinners. Okay, just so you understand. They're justified in the sight of God. On the basis of Christ's righteousness.
Look at humanity. Have you looked at what we do, like the type of evil that we do?
Yeah.
Of course, we would deny that God exists. We're the same people who freaking,
Chad, the way you show an atheist that God exists is that the very denial of the existence of God demonstrates God's existence.
How?
Because you're going to need the triune God of Scripture in order to make sense out of anything. If one says, "Oh, no God needed," then you're going to have to explain what the ultimacy of reality is, and what provides for the intelligibility of any dependent statement. So, if you say the sky is blue, is the sky being blue? Is that a dependency situation?
Is it a dependency situation?
Yeah. Is it a contingency? It's a contingency.
Okay.
Right. So if you say state of affairs XYZ, either that entity or state of affairs will be absolute or non-dependent, or it will exist in virtue of a dependent relationship of that which is non-dependent. So when an atheist denies God, then he's claiming that his capacity to speak, his capacity to make intelligible predication, virtue of his system, God is not needed. So, but you see, they're going to have to fill the void. What is it that ultimately exists that serves the position of God? If God is the creator and sustainer of all things, but they say no God needed, you can't say the sky is blue in a vacuum. So what ultimately exists that is non-dependent, that provides for all dependent situations? Since they conclude it's not God, it's got to be something else. What is it? And if they say, well, I don't know. So then why does the word rock or car or lightning or rabbit mean anything? Rabbit is a class. Lightning is a class. In order to have classes of things, you have to have laws. What secures that there are laws? If there's no ultimacy, no absolute, if there's not a non-dependent ultimacy upon which everything depends, then why does anything mean anything? So you would need the Bible to exist first to be even able to attempt to deny him. And if you say, well, I can deny God without God existing, I said, good. Tell me how you have the capacity to speak intelligible statements about existence. What's the nature of existence? Is there causality or not causality? Are there laws of nature or not laws of nature? Now, can the atheist answer that? No, he can't. No. So there are certain things that you show are true, because if you deny them, you got nothing. Hey, Chad, do you believe in the law of identity and the law of non-contradiction?
I don't know what those mean.
A equals A. A cannot equal not A.
Yeah.
Right? Did somebody prove that to you?
No.
No. But you see, if you don't accept it, what happens? It renders everything you say as meaningless. Okay? Now, the atheists think that they can be meaningful and intelligible about existence. No God needed. And they go whistling past the graveyard. Yeah, la, 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 la. I can say the sky is blue. No God needed. Really? What is blue? If it's not the God of the Bible who's the creator and sustainer of all things, that he upholds all things by the power of his will, then what does?
So what about the God of the Quran?
The God of the Quran? The God of the Quran doesn't exist.
How do you know that?
How do I know that? Because the God of the Bible revealed himself.
But
therefore, the God of the Quran can exist. Now, by the way, why would you offer something that you categorically reject?
Well, because that's for atheists.
You have to uphold that the God of the Quran is the only one true God.
Is that where you get the atheists at when they invoke the Quran?
Well, why would they reject something that violates their own principle?
I don't know. Why would they?
Justification for Allah?
What?
Do they have a rational justification for Allah?
No, they don't.
Then why would they offer that as a counter? Kind of silly, wouldn't it?
Because they want to deny the Christian God of the Bible.
That's right.
Because they want to be God. Oh, you have a God. I can have a God. We can all have a God. That's all it is. A power trip.
Thanks, Oprah. No, I'm just kidding, Carlos. You know how I was getting that. You can have this. You can have this. Everyone gets this.
Yeah, exactly. They want to have. Oh,
you get a car. You get a car.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I was trying to remember. What was it? Get a car. Yeah, all right.
no, but tell me that's not the mentality where like, oh well,
yeah.
they have a God. You have a God. You know, I mean, I can understand where some people are saying like, I'm not gonna automatically believe what you say out of like from the get go. You know, because but at the same time, it's almost that mentality where it's like,
It's
If
more
you
like
get
you get a truth. You get a truth. Everyone gets a truth.
right, exactly.
Look under your seats. There's truth.
There's oh, we found him. There he is.
Yeah.
Nah, but continue, guys. You guys are doing great.
That's how to make some wisecracks in there, you know.
But also, the Bible proves itself true because men like Dawkins was saying, they suppress the truth and unrighteousness. So it's clear that once you have these arguments with them or you dialogue with them, that they're really just suppressing the truth, and they're not merely just like um, not convinced intellectually. You know, you kind of you see the smoke screen for what it is.
Right. They can't
People,
suppress the truth fully, though.
right?
They do some measure of suppressing, but they can't do it fully.
Because that will lead
That's their
them to
downfall.
absurdity, which
Yeah.
is what we're trying to show them.
Right.
You'd have
Yeah.
to fall on absurdity if you're going to try to suppress that
In
truth.
in the book, The Myth of Religious Neutrality, the author Clauser, everybody has a belief and a commitment, explicitly or implicitly, in something that is divine or non-dependent. Now, the atheist divinity would be something that is unconscious, that doesn't possess personhood. So when they say, well, there's not enough, evidence or reason to believe in God, say, good. Then you're operating from an impersonal absolute. Because if you're not, then you have no basis to say anything. Because the sky being blue either means something in virtue of a personal absolute or an impersonal absolute. Well, which one is it? No. I have your volume cranked all the way up to 200%. The atheist is not operating from a principle of neutrality. He is unconsciously and or implicitly holding that there's an impersonal absolute.
Right.
There's something that is non-dependent that provides for all dependent situations.
Dawkins, would you say that's kind of has been Satan's like theology from the beginning? Would you be able to extract that?
Romans 1. They were not thankful in their hearts. They wouldn't acknowledge God as God, so they turned and worshipped the creation. To worship something is to bow down and pay homage and respect to.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
What device are you on?
He's on a beeper, dude. He has to be on what? Freaking using a Game Boy. Freaking using a Game Boy Advance, bro. All right, Dawkins. I have another question about that book. In that book, the guy he talks about interaspectual connectedness. Do you remember?
Yes.
All right, so could you kind of touch on that?
What he means is everything ultimately comes back like a spider web to the hub, which is the non-dependent divinity. So one will either believe the absolute, the divinity is either personal or impersonal. I mean, would it be coherent for somebody to believe that there's nothing non-dependent? Then why does anything exist at all?
Right. Right. like when I read about that, it just made me think of the Trinity. You know, I don't know, like maybe in an analogical sense, but just to see that there's this inter-spectral connectedness and everything. It's not just this one single thing. It's just, how do you define? Almost when you define something, you have to,
See, that's where you got the atheist. The God, they're going to have to be standing on some other framework. Good. Tell me about your framework. And then it's going to turn out that whatever they do think and believe and assert that is the foundation to their system, they're going to be adopting it without rational justification. Oops.
There's just so much cognitive dissonance when it comes to stuff. It just won't accept it.
You want to keep in mind as Christians, when they deny God as the ultimacy of reality, the concrete universal that everything depends upon, if we're going to be having a metaphysical discussion about origins, we shouldn't grant them anything. Not even if they say the sky is blue. See, how does that even mean anything in your world? It means something in the world God created. The sky being blue, emanating from a world where God doesn't exist, doesn't mean anything. Because there's no foundation for it.
It's just Maya.
What's up, Carlos?
Hey, don't know who said that, but what's up?
Joshua did.
Joshua who?
Yeah, your brother.
Oh, hey, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. You know, the enemy fights, but, his end's secured, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Good to hear from you, man. Actually, right here, talking with Dawkins about atheism and stuff on the way to work, man. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you guys. Good to hear from what Darth has to say about atheism.
I have a question, guys. There's a guy that I work with. Well, I don't work with him directly. I just see him in the hall sometimes. And I introduced him to Discord. He's a Hebrew Israelite. And I told him that if he was ever interested, and then I don't know if he'll chime in or not, but I was wondering, how do I go about inviting him to this particular chat?
Do you have to have him on your friend?
So I go to member. So where would that be on? I'm looking at the screen now.
Do you remember how you found this server? You give him the link.
Yeah, you have to give him. Going to have to scroll down on the left-hand side of the servers.
Right,
will be a plus sign. You click on the plus sign, and it'll say join server. You click on, and then you paste in the link, and it will bring you to the server.
Okay, I got you. That's what he has to do. He has to paste.
So you can email him the link. Text it to him.
No way to do it directly from a server, huh? No.
If he was on your friends list, you could.
Yeah. If he's friended,
he would have to be your friend.
Yeah. The drop-down menu at the top left.
But I just have to tell you, Beck, yourself friend. I just have to tell you, Beckel, if you make yourself friends with a Hebrew Israelite, I'm going to have to ban you.
That's pretty cool.
No, I'm joking. I'm always busting on Feckle.
Come on, you guys couldn't tell he was joking. Come on.
Yeah.
First of all, Veckel's from the tribe of Zebulun, whatever. So.
Yeah, is that what's going on now? How do I get into that tribe? Is that a good tribe or no?
No Edomites allowed. Sorry.
White's allowed.
Yeah, I'm not white though, so I am, but I'm not.
You black? Hispanic? Or you half white? Half black?
I identify as being black.
See, right? We can identify as long as we identify truly and rooted in Scripture, right, Darth? That we're Christians, that we're followers of Christ, whether the way. Then that's the most important thing.
You Edomites have a sense of humor. Accept and embrace your identity.
I identify as a reptilian.
Right.
Embrace your heritage.
It's taking everything.
My heritage is Jacob and Israel.
You a Jake?
Amen,
You a
man.
Jake?
Amen. Yeah, I'm with Jake. Yeah.
That's
I'm
what
with
they call
Israel.
Guys by the heart, man.
Related to Israel, they call you a Jake.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
There's so much craziness going on, brothers. It's hard to keep up. I mean, next week there'll be a new name, a new flavor.
Oh, I know. And they already, I'm sure they're probably going to have a church just for people who are not black but identify as black.
What's that lady from the NWAC?
Whatever her name is, Dollar Saul, whatever.
Yeah,
They have that white guy who want to be black. What's his name? Sean King, aka Talcum X.
Talcum X. What the world? See what's going on, man? I get a little bit of ways from all this, and it's like, did somebody turn up the heat somewhere?
I identify as being mentally challenged. I imagine myself as a registered Democrat.
Oh,
Registered.
I identify myself as a billionaire, therefore I'm entitled to $1 billion.
right.
That's right.
Right.
Just give me like $2 million. I'll be good. Just give me like 100.
Listen to you. I identify as. Oh, you're hilarious. You're hilarious. Yeah, I'll identify as an Irish. Oh wait, I am Irish. Huh. Okay, I guess I'll be myself.
I will identify myself as the President of the United States of America. I think I should be president because of it.
Well, I think that you better listen to Duncan there and say you identify as mentally challenged at that point.
Hey, you stop trying to bypass the laws, you immigrant. Well, let me get a ride.
If you want to identify as Hitler, it's easy. All you got to do is be a white man
To the gate.
and be non-liberal and be a
I'm
conservative.
going to identify as Peter Griffin.
Did you say Peter Griffin?
Yeah.
Hey! Hold up, guys. Give me a second.
Whoa, that's pushing it. I identify as the angel that's going to throw you in. Oh, no, that's pushing it too. Sorry.
Remember when James Woods identified as Peter Griffin? He just moved into his house
Peter Griffin?
for that episode.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Peter Griffin?
That's hilarious. What the world?
You broke up. Can you say it again? Who's Peter Griffin?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
No.
Mic check.
Really hear you. Son.
Mike is shit.
Like you got it underneath your armpit or something.
Well, that's nice. Sounds like a waterfall.
Yeah, but the thing is about waterfalls is it's pretty. Not on Discord, though.
Ding. Did somebody just go into an elevator? Oh, wait,
Yeah,
that was...
elevator of grace.
There it is
Alright.
again.
Did anybody see the outcome of that Bills game?
No, did you see
They
that
lost.
outcome in that heavyweight fight last night?
Lost.
Nah, dude.
It was
no,
ended up in a
what
draw.
happened?
It ended up
Really?
in a split. It ended up in a split draw.
A split
I don't
draw.
trust
What
boxing,
kind
bro.
of craziness
After
is
they did
that?
Triple
It's
G.
a tie. Tyson Fury won, but they decided to make it a split draw, which is essentially a tie, and they're
Right.
going to have a rematch.
Oh, that's money
I can't
talk.
mess
That's
with that.
ridiculous. He needs to get into the cage.
Boxing is so mafia is ridiculous.
Right. They need to get in the cage.
What do you mean? The cage.
The MMA cage. He needs to learn how to do MMA, and then we'll see who wins or loses.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
boxing is completely different than it.
Oh, I know. I was trained boxing by a guy who could have won the championship back in the day. Old school guy. Yeah, I know. But yeah, thank you. But no.
Man, Joshua knock a heretic out. Stop playing.
Right. punch you. What's that one crazy guy where he was like punch you into the church or whatever? No.
Joshua's like, Jesus is the first created being. Hold up. Boom.
Boom.
Watch him out.
Right. And then I get reminded, the Lord said to the apostles, don't call fire down from heaven. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, Lord. Sorry. That's what he said. That's what you said. Right.
Hey, wake up. My bad. Wake up.
Right. Smack him on the face. Wake up, dog. Get up. It'll be all right. That's what I used to joke with my wife. If someone came in the house, I'd, hurt him pretty bad with the castle doctrine and then preach to him. Like, you're going to be all right, bro. I'm calling the ambulance. But in the meantime, I want to share the gospel with you. Like, dude, you just stabbed me a whole bunch of times. What just happened? Nah, bro, it's cool, man. I'm putting pressure on it. Just hold up. It'll be all right. Oh my. Yeah. But no, thank you. That's a good laugh. But seriously, they need to get in the cage, man. They need to stop being sissies and get in the cage. Because there's a lot. Look, at heavyweights, you look at MMA, the guys that do really good usually is the guys that can box. If you could stop a takedown and you can box, and in the heavyweight division, the heavyweight division, you and then you know how to wrestle, it's over. Forget about it. Because, we're talking about heavyweights here. It don't take too many shots when you barely got gloves on your hands.
You have a favorite heavyweight?
Yeah, man. Some of these younger guys I do, but they don't take their training seriously. I'm like, if you can barely work out longer than me, then what is your deal? I'm not a professional. You just got to chill with that, So I don't know. There's a couple I like, but what is that guy that he's Hispanic? He had the belt, but he got really hurt. He's been on the shelf. Yes, dude, he's awesome because he can box, he can wrestle, he's tough, he has heart. That dude right there, but he's just been out for so long. So maybe
Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's a pretty scary dude.
Yeah, he is, bro. He is. I'm not scared of guys, but I'd want to probably hit him with the baseball bat over his head. But unless I can get a good punch in, it'll be all right. But he's so quick and so strong. I don't know. But yeah, no, that's true. Cain Velasquez is a bad man. American, Mexican, American pride, however you want to say that, right? He's a bad dude. But yeah, that's the kind of heavyweights I like. All these other guys, man, and Duncan, I'm sorry, I won't, whatever. I don't want to derail the conversation. I appreciate you, brother. But come on, man. I grew up a boxing fan. I learned how to box. I learned how to box without gloves. That's what Irish people used to do for years, right? You don't fight with gloves. What's glove, you big sissy? But we just bare knuckle. But yeah, I like those kind of guys like Cain.
I thought you guys wrapped your hands in wraps, then dipped them in glue, then dipped them in glass.
Well, that's what we used to do back in the gang in New York area. But yeah, I almost did that, but God prevented me from doing that. Me and my
Wait
buddies.
a minute. I thought that was Tung Po in the Philippines.
That's right. It's from Kickboxer, man. Reference. Yeah, Rafe knows what's up.
Yeah, buddy. I love that movie.
That's classic. Yeah.
And then they made all those knockoffs, the third, fourth, fifth episode without him, and they were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
No, but we did wrap ourselves in gloves, and we did we wrapped ourselves in towels. But that one of the probably a Hall of Famer, Kevin Brown's from my hometown, so UFC fighter, middleweight, welterweight. Yeah, him and I almost fought one time. It never turned out, never worked. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I like it, but I don't really watch it like I used to. Yeah, I see a good fight. Like I was pretty upset, man, that Conor McGregor looked like a sissy when he last fought. I'm just going to tell you. You look like a. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? That Russian had his number, boys. He just, man, dude's a bad dude. Yeah. I'm trying to get my son into it. But yeah, I'm not gonna push him. I don't want to be one of those parents. Push him into something he don't want to do. You know what I mean?
Hey, it's good fitness though. I would
It
definitely
is.
like my son into just at least exercising boxing wise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
a ton of equipment, for it. I used to do kickboxing back in the day. Not
I see that. I could see
sport,
that.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But I got like a versus one MMA dummy. It has no like arms and legs or anything like that. It's just
yeah. I've seen those. I've hit on those.
power. Yeah. And it's good for you can throw them, you can tackle them, ground and pound.
Oh yeah.
Strikes on it. It's a good training tool.
It is.
And,
my son's learned kickboxing and a little bit of judo, a little bit of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and
nice.
and Masamura Kempo karate. Some of the stuff I took growing up, but I trained him though. I trained him some, and
no Steven Seagal Aikido. Come on, man.
Well, no, not Aikido. I learned a little bit of Aikido. I really did, but I didn't pursue that.
Everyone likes to make fun of Aikido.
Aikido's pretty bad. Aikido, well, you gotta have that as just a little weapon. I only really like the Aikido, really. I mean, unless you're like Steven Seagal gets laughed at, but he ain't a joke.
You really have to know your stuff to deflect stuff. So
yes,
it's good to use a person's force against them. You just never see that really used.
No, I've done that, but it most times though it goes on the ground. So like you said, it just either you hit them and you knock them out, or you get ready to knock them out, or they go on the ground. Yeah, so like he said, it's not real world. Now I can do that to people who really, they think they're tough, but they're really not. I do that in boxing. I use it in boxing. Like Muhammad Ali kind of used different, like I think he learned karate and maybe So you can use some of that as your boxing, as your street fighting, but it like I taught my son, you can only do that so much. It takes a while to do a 6-inch punch, right? My grandpa used to be able to do a 3-inch. But that's crazy talk right there. That takes years and years and years and years of training, and I ain't got time for all that. That ain't my calling.
I'm back. Wait, a 6-inch punch? What's that?
That's where you take in 6 inches. You can do so much force. You can go through concrete, bricks. You just put your power into 6 inches. Bruce Lee did 3. I seen my grandpa do 3 once. Not like Bruce Lee, but I can do a 6-inch, but I can't always. That's just really hard to channel your strength and your energy and your skills into 6 inches. It's just where you can really almost go through someone's rib cage. You can it's like a 3rd level pressure point kind of punch. That's really dangerous.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I try not to. I don't like fighting. I avoid fights, but it's really dangerous. But it takes years of. Yeah, it takes somebody to teach you, and then it takes years and years and years and years. Like my grandpa taught me a lot. I learned other styles, but it just takes years to really be able to do that. And you got to understand that if your hand, you can just dang your hand or whatever, because your hand could really get hurt. But you have to have really strong wrist control, and you have to have really strong reflexes. And when you do that, and your speed, your wrist control, and you're turning in your whole body. Which my grandpa taught me that at 12. I should not have been taught that. But anyway, you get your whole body into it, and you could do it like you're just doing a haymaker almost, which is not really an effective punch anyway most times.
That's why you got weight classes.
Exactly. That's why you got weight classes.
That's why they exist. Actually,
exactly.
Putting your weight behind the punch.
Right. Yeah, and that's not free.
I know how to do a 6-inch backhand slap. It's pretty deadly.
Well, hey, look, a lot of the Russians have actually a slap. I forget what it's called, but like championship where they actually smack the tar out of each other and see.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Did you see those, bro?
They're crazy, man.
They're crazy.
Take a guy's head off, man.
Yeah, I wanted to go. And I'm like, man, I could do that until I seen the last 2 guys, and I was like, won't have to train for that. These guys are. Nah, I'm not gonna fight them. The other ones, I slapped that tar out of, but these 2 guys, oh Lord have mercy, those Russians.
You gotta have a neck like Tyson, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of Nick, Have you seen the meme, that viral meme with black dude with the super huge neck?
No, bro.
Come on, please. I'm gonna post a picture, bro. If you see this man's neck, you ever seen the lizard? You know how the lizard
Oh my.
they have that red flap.
Yeah.
This man got a human flap, bro. He has
Oh,
a
wow.
permanent human flap, like he's like looking for a mate, or he's
Oh my, Lord have
something about his
mercy.
territory.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, like I say, I try to going back as you're doing it. I try to Matt try to get my son into it. He wants to do it. Part of him wants to get into MMA, and one of his instructors is in the Black Belt Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And yeah, and he trained me, but I can train him, and I told him I can train him to save money up until a point, and then he'd have to go to guys like that, but there's also street versus point fighting. Like so many guys that do point fighting, it's like, dude, get out of here. You may know whatever, but you don't have heart. You can't take a punch. You've never really been hit, especially without pads and someone stopping it. So that's a whole nother ballgame.
So you've done like sparring and stuff like that, or
Oh, when I was little, one of my senseis used to have me spar almost like a kumite, just one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, and then two people, and then adults, and then multiple adults. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how I was trained. Yeah. And then when I went away from that, I used to fight 3 and 4, 5, mainly 3 or 4 of my brother's friends at a time, which is only not that much younger than me. And I'd slap box them and knock them down, and that. But then I wanted to go to the Marines and be the Marines reconnaissance, and really learn. You know what I mean? But
that's like old school UFC, man. Remember the old school UFC?
Oh
UFC?
yeah.
It was a tournament in one night. I mean, like where you had to fight like 3 guys, or
That was
4
the
guys.
day, dude. That was the day. I wish that would go back, but people would get hurt. They lose money, and I understand. They got to.
That was a real challenge there, man. Back then,
Yeah.
I mean, because you were fighting so many times in one night.
Yeah, but we used to do that. We used to do like ECW before it became popular. We'd jump off our roof. I come from a really crazy town, in between Dayton and Springfield, Ohio, which is pretty rough, even nationally if you look it up, and have some of the highest murder rates in the country. But like Vincent Lasson said, why don't you move? What's up? I was like, bro, this is where God put me. So I'm not gonna move till hopefully till he says, but till he opens the way if he does. But anyway, we'd do that. We'd fight in the sand. I'd have people hit my stomach with sticks, and I'd hit myself with pool sticks to intimidate guy in my jaw, and it was crazy. I used to hit myself so much so that I could get my bone and muscle memory, or bone rather, to like kickboxers do. Yeah. So when people hit me, I just look at them like
callous stuff. Yeah.
Right. It's not as callous stuff now though. I'm getting older, but yeah, I used to do that.
That's another great thing about the movie Kickboxer. Remember another? Well, you peeled the blood sport there with the Kumite.
Oh yeah.
But I brought
That's real
Kickboxer
stuff.
earlier.
That was really real though.
The Kumite was, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Frank Dukes, I don't know, but he's just.
Yeah, he's kind of a big mouth. He's kind of a big mouth.
But remember Kickboxer though, when Jean Claude is kicking that tree down?
Oh, dude, I do.
Bloody shit, and it's like that's painful to watch, even though it's a movie. But
yeah, there's real guys that do that. You can look it up on YouTube. I started to do that. Yeah, I started to do that, and I was like, oh, H to the no.
You got that tough shit.
But I used to do that with my hands, though. I used to punch brick and cement. Just boom. I eventually worked my way up. Kind of just kung fu, like real kung fu people, not these fake ones.
The dim mock.
Yeah. I've done it once. I've done it probably a couple times, but I actually busted my hand recently doing it. I didn't even mean to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I didn't realize it. I had this thicker 1/4-inch cardboard or whatever, and it was about a foot tall, and I was just like, oh, I'll just whatever. I wasn't thinking, and I hit it, just barely hit it. I'm like, oh, come on, Josh, you're stronger than this. And I hit it like a 6-inch, and it went straight through the cardboard, and I hit the blacktop, and I tore up my knuckles are still torn up. I'm like, dang, son, you better chill. Yeah,
I'm like, chills, man, thinking about that. I get like, oof.
Yeah, like I said, I can't do it all the time. I ain't claiming to be able to do it all the time, but that's why I don't like fighting, because I'm afraid I'll kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You just I don't like hitting somebody. And for a big guy, I'm really fast still. Even at 40, I'm still pretty fast.
I'm 42, man. I just turned 40 this year, so yeah.
Well, you know what helped? I was doing landscaping and hardscape, and I just felt like I was Rocky, bro. I just felt like I was Rocky or Rocky 4, acting until my nephew said.
I love the Rocky films, though.
Oh, I do too. I do too. He said, Josh, Uncle Josh, bro. He said, I know you're strong and you can fight like most 26-year-olds, and you don't want to give this up. You don't want to let that go. This is one of the ways that really helped me, But I was like, he's like, I understand. I was like, and I was getting a little proud. So God's dealt with that. But I was like, you don't understand, man. I could still deadlift more than 600 pounds. I could still bench press with my legs over 1,000. He's like, Josh, I know that. He's like, I know you're quick. You're a bad dude, but I'm going to visit you in a nursing home if you keep it up. And he was crying. He don't cry. He's like, do you realize what you're doing in your body? You're 40, man. I'm like, oh. Huh.
Your recovery slows down, too.
Yeah, it does. It does, brother.
You can do the stuff they do. You're just recovering a lot more slowly.
Oh,
than
yeah.
guys
Yes, I do. Yes. We're bigger guys, We're heavyweights. Yes. Yeah, right. We last a little longer because we don't have to move as much, right? But in recovery time, when I hit my hand, I'm like, dude, this has been over almost 2 weeks. What the world? Please, God, please help me. I'm being merciful that I still have feeling in my nerve. But no, yeah, you're right. Time's a lot slower, and that's what he tried to tell me. He's like, man, you've already had a double hernia surgery. I'm on.
One thing, I'm not sure because you were in like the weight scene too as well. There's this documentary I still want to watch. You remember Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia?
Yes.
Supposedly he did a documentary of. I mean, the guy's he was almost like crippled now.
Oh wow!
From all the strain he put on his body and everything like that, it's something I wanted to watch. He did a documentary, or someone did a documentary on him.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm glad.
He's like almost in a walker now. Yeah. I mean, I remember him in his prime when I first read Muscle and Fitness, and that's even before he won the Olympia. I'm like, this dude's go places. He's a police officer, and he got a picture of him in his uniform. He's just like busting out at
right, like Incredible Hulk style.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then he just got bigger and bigger, and then my dad was telling me a few months ago, or it was back in like the summertime, he goes, hey, you remember that guy who's following in Muscle and Fitness, that Ronnie Coleman guy? He's like, I just saw this preview for this documentary. The dude's like, he's like in bad shape now, man. Like, I was like, really? He's like, yeah, just from all the stress he put on his body, man. At a later age, totally screwed him up,
I'm glad you told me that. Because that's what my nephew tried to tell me. Like, Josh, you've been so hard to your, because he knows all these things I'm saying was true. It was just idiotic, really, a lot of what I did. But in some ways, it just really was. But we were wild, in our hometown. That's what we did in my generation anyway. And the one shortly thereafter, a few years, we just fought. We fought all the time, and. The thing of it was, that's why Kevin Brown's so tough. He don't give up, because that's all some Xenia guys are. They don't give up. They just fight. You have to kill them. You have to completely knock them out or kill them. But what happened was, like you told me, I literally I counted it, 27,000 pounds in one day, shoveling nines and gravel and hard, like real big pavers, like real heavy pavers. And that's how I knew I was sitting there deadlifting 600 some pounds, and I'm like, and I thought at one point I almost had a heart attack. Let me just be honest, because because I was doing too much, like you said, and I'm 40, and I'm sitting here jogging, lifting hundreds of pounds, running almost with it, and then finally, like I said, my nephew, God used my nephew really, and he's just like you said, he don't cry, he don't hardly get into people's business, he don't, especially those that are older than him, he don't really cry, and he start crying. And he's like, I'm getting emotional, man. I don't like this. He said, but Josh, Uncle Josh, you're going to end up in a nursing home. And so I started to lose a lot of weight. Like I'm now like probably 248. Last year I got up to 300. So, but he's like, I'm going to visit you. And I really believe that. Like you said, I'm glad you said that, because I was starting to train again. You know how those boxers, because I was training my son, those boxers that I did it years ago, but what was the guy that beat McGregor? I forget his name. I can't believe I forget his name. But you know I'm talking about, the guy that just did a TKO against Conor McGregor when they boxed. He's undefeated. Well, he years ago tried to do this, but I just tried it. I don't know if I'm not saying I did it first, but I did it years ago. But you take weights and you put them around your hands and you box. You do your shadow boxing.
Are you talking about Floyd Mayweather?
Yes, thank you. Floyd Mayweather.
Just said it. Can nobody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Floyd, if you'll see training videos, thank you, of Floyd, thank you, Rafe, of Floyd Mayweather, he'll take 1, 2, or 3 pound weights. And usually people don't take more than 3 pound weights because it's hard on your body, like this stuff, like Matt said. It's just really hard on your body and your joints and everything else. Well, I was starting to train with 5 pound weights, 5 and 6 pounds, working at almost a half. I worked up to 15, 20, 25 minutes, just almost nonstop. Hardly any breath in between, take a water, and just do like 3, like, 10, like, let me see, 5 all the way to, not 8, 7 different exercises, maybe 8, whatever. And I would just do it one after the other with 5 pound weights, like boom, boom, boom. And I'm like Matt said, that just tears a 40-year-old's, especially someone that lived wild, their body. But I was doing it. I come from good stock where my grandpa at 68 years old can knock out a 20-year-old. It just, But anyway, so I just tried to be like him, growing up. I always try to be like him, try to please him, But anyway, that, like you said, that just wears on your body. Now, it increases your speed. It increases your strength. That's why Floyd Mayweather's done it for so long. Some of these guys that punch under the water, they're starting to do like they show in that Creed 2 movie. I ain't seen that yet, so please don't spoil. We know who probably wins, right? But that Creed 2, when he's under there, the trailer, and he's punching in the water, people really, I did that stuff for boxing when I was a teenager. That really increases your momentum, your agility, your ability to turn and swivel, your strength. And that's how you get to do stuff like, but look what Bruce Lee did, right? Bruce Lee stressed out his body till he killed himself. I know it was headache pills or whatever, and I realize that's what the autopsy said, but he stressed his head out to the point, his brain, his body, because he wanted to be the greatest fighter ever. And he probably was at his time, to be honest, pound for pound. But that kind of stuff gets, I think, almost demonic, to be honest. God doesn't want us to, an elder anyway, to be a brawler. I'm not saying these guys are all brawlers, but just somebody that just gets in fights, and that ain't good. You know what I mean? We got a new heaven and new earth to look forward to, which righteousness indwells. And as much as I want to be like Joshua and just flip their heads at these heretics, that ain't the right way. That ain't loving.
Suplex this.
You're right. Suplex this Pelagian. What's well, that's not good.
Power punch and Pelagian.
Right. Some people don't like Duncan because he's strong with the truth, but I mean, men were strong with the truth for a lot of years. We lost that. We're feminine. We're not. I don't think. I don't know all you guys, but we're living in a feminine culture where men can't be strong and very courageous, like it says in 2 Corinthians. But it's that meekness. It's that hard line. Sometimes I know I cross. I'll just speak for me. I know that I cross sometimes, and I get too strong, or my timing ain't right, or and when I'm witnessing or I'm evangelizing, I'm witnessing to God's truth. I'm evangelizing. I'm correcting people. I gotta realize that the world, I'm not supposed to judge the world. The word judges the world. They're condemned already if they don't believe. So I'm sitting here. Sometimes I get a little like John and James. They were so zealous. Peter, let's cut their ears off. Man, let's do this. We got power. Look at Jesus. He just speaks and people fall over when they ask for him. So why shouldn't I grab a sword? Let's do this. It's time for the kingdom. That's not that's not how it's supposed to go right now. So that's hard to be like Jesus. Like literally turn that other cheek. But that's kingdom talk, though. That's we are promised blessings if we are peacemakers, and and I'm, like I said before, you guys probably heard me. I'm not saying you don't ever defend anybody. That's not biblical, but I strongly believe that we are a lot more aggressive than we can, but we're also we should be, but we're also a lot more effeminate. I don't know. I mean, not all effeminate. Forgive me. Effeminate acting. And I'm not trying to condemn anybody or whatever. It's not my place to condemn anybody. But the word does. It's just, we got to speak it in love, and we got to have our timing right. Because sometimes the Lord don't want us to say things to people right away. And other times, he does. And that's like I say, sometimes, Darth, you Duncan, you get a bad name. But all I got to say is I'm thankful for people who stand up for the truth.
What's wrong with being effeminate, bro?
What's wrong with being effeminate? God called it's unnatural. That's the first answer. Second answer is you have been made a man, not a woman. That's the second answer. I'm just saying, yeah, thank you, brother. I'm just saying, thank you. See, so sometimes I get a little strong because I'm like, what? But I'm trying. Yeah, that's what's wrong with it. I mean,
Chocolate Nova.
What'd you say? Yeah, what's up, bro?
I'm saying his name is Chocolate Nova. He's playing Minecraft. Of course, he's effeminate. But
nice meme. Nice meme, buddy.
That kind of sounds mean, but you don't know. He might be joking though. That's another thing. See, I know Carlos. He's just joking.
I didn't say that was mean. I said nice meme.
Oh, my bad. My hearing's a little off, man, because I worked in a factory.
Huh?
Yeah, listening to music real loud. I'm old school, bro, where they had the big old cassettes like Matt, his big old boombox cassette players. You see people on MTV when they actually have music and you're sitting over there jamming in the hood. Yeah, bro. That's what,
when MTV used to have music, you're right, bro. It's called music television. It's all reality shows of pregnant teenagers.
Right. Bunch of crazy people on Jersey Shore that ain't got no sense, misrepresenting Italians. What the? Yeah, bro. That's all. Yeah, regardless, we came from the streets. I'm thankful I never got killed, to be honest. People tried. Carlos, you told me stories, bro. They tried to kill you too.
Oh, I have family try to get hit up.
Yeah. Yep. Did you guys hear about Bro Joe? Did he tell? I don't want to say it if he didn't say it because I really respect his privacy and he's a private guy. But he tell you when he went to a restaurant? If not, I won't say it.
No, he didn't.
Okay, then never mind. Maybe you can ask him about it. But when people are going to get arrested, I think there's a day. I think James White's right. I don't know what you guys believe, but we're really getting to where the church is probably going to have to. The real church is probably going to have to go underground too. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe other people are wrong. I think the church is going to have to go underground, the real church.
All right, so Yugi has something to say about you. What, Yugi, why don't you get on the mic?
Let me read it. I'll read it for you if you don't want to type because I'm a dumbass. Well, I can be. Some people who. Yeah, so some people are born feminine. Oh, really? Some are born masculine. Yeah, it's called males and females. You deny science, I deny science. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Where is this being typed?
In the debate, religions, politics chat or whatever that's called. Yeah. So I can't. I'm muted. Well, I didn't mute you. Some people are more masculine or feminine. I'm not denying that, and I'm not denying that some people seem SEEM capitalized, seem to have an inclination. But bro, you really don't know my background. You really don't know what God's done for me, and I really don't know you. All I'm trying to do is speak truth, and I'm trying to speak in love. That's why the Lord stopped me, because I was going to get a little aggressive. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. How do I know, bro? That's you know what? That's an asinine question. How do you know? Apparently you think you know. So, yeah. I'm not putting you down. I'm being a little tough, but I don't want to be tough on you. But, sir or ma'am, I don't know who you are. You're either a woman or a man.
Sam,
I'm not trying to.
I'm not. Be a Sam out here, man. You might. Or a mirror. I don't know. Let me stop.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not trying to sit there and condemn anybody. Like I said, you're condemned already if you don't believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. Hopefully the Lord will open your eyes and call you to repentance and save you. But I really believe that, and if you want to talk about question who I am, then why don't you ask some of these brothers in here who's known me long enough to know I'm not like that. But it is what it is. You know, I'm nobody. You're right. I'm nobody. Guess what? No, neither are you. So we've all fallen short of the glory of God. You can deny all you want to deny. You can believe all you want to believe, I guess, to an extent, as much as the Lord allows. That's power right there, right? That's talk about fire. That's some truth for you. You know, I love you enough to tell you the truth. Oh, really? Well, how do you know? See, like, I think some reason, and like, again, I don't know if Darth's listening or he's busy, but I just want to give some praise to my brother. A lot of people misunderstand him because he sounds strong. I mean, I would think Darth would admit that he's not perfect. I've heard him more than once. We all need to work on our tongue, pretty much, most of us anyway. But here's the thing. The truth of the matter is, you're putting all kinds of language, and I'm not as versed or studied as Matt in some areas and Darth. I'm working on it. Matt knows that. Carlos knows that. I've been working a lot more. But the bottom line is, God has taught me the scriptures. And I know the scriptures. And I'm telling you right now, we could get into epistemological arguments, but really, is that necessary? You say there's no evidence, right? Really? There's not? Wow. See, then talking to you is like talking to a brick wall, but at least the brick wall, if it had any thoughts, would know it's a brick wall. That's just sad. So all I can do for you, you ain't even wanting to hear that you're a sinner. You're not wanting to admit what you know. In your own standard, sorry, go ahead. Debate, religion, politics, bro. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Please interrupt. I mean, that's, you know what? Matt, are you still there? No, he's muted. I don't know if he's listening. I don't want to say this and Matt not agree to it. Matt Yester, are you still? Okay. I'll just say this. There's been brothers in the council where we bumped heads before, but we love each other. We're brothers. Carlos can testify to that. And all I got to say is, you know what? All this right here, nice comeback. I'm not trying to be a comeback, bro. I really don't care what you think of me. I don't. I mean, I'm not supposed to seek your praise anyway. At the end of the day, all I care about is the Lord's praise. And, you know, I love you enough to talk a little tough to you. But I can be gentle. I can baby talk you. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. If you want me to. But you don't even want to get on the mic and you want to make assertions about me. See, one big circle jerk. Here's the thing. Darth is a coward. Oh my, that's a lie. From the pits of hell. Really?
How am I a coward?
Exactly. See, my brother is not a coward. Yes. Careful
No,
judging that.
I'm not easily angered, but there have been a few instances where I've totally lost my cool and use obscenities, which I regret doing and I shouldn't done. But you have no idea how patient I am.
Nope, exactly.
I am an extremely patient person, contrary to what some people think.
And if you get to know Darth and you actually ask him to his face, him and I, if he remembers, it's been a while, Darth, but he'll be real. He just was real right now in front of people he don't even know. Is that a coward? No. Is that somebody who's super ultra arrogant like some of y'all think he is? Nope. Or he wouldn't have said that.
Well, look, you're talking to Mortis here. He's an obnoxious little argumentative teenager. So you should know that. And he's almost gotten banned several times here.
Thank you, Darth. No. If you spoke up, you drag yourself into it. See, there's a thing sometimes I get accused a lot of like Darth too, because we're older and we want people to know the truth. And so if we weren't patient, we lose our temper more often. But that's the Holy Spirit. Okay, well, how do you know? Why don't you say, I think? Do you know really what he means? I'm not trying to, sorry, Darth. I'm not trying to, but I just want to defend my brother right here. Do you really know who he's talking about or why he said what he said about you? if you listen to him, you would hear that. And I don't mean that offensively. I really don't. I have a teenager. Okay, but what did he say about you, buddy? That's good. Then we can have more peace in the server.
And what's with the changing of the icon? It's like more freaking the. I thought you were like, yeah, I thought you were like an atheist. Oh,
Are you
just
being
saying that?
serious right now? Okay, well, I'm not trying to, this guy right here, Yugi. Oh, you want so much attention. You're thirsty, bro. Lord have mercy. Please, Lord have mercy on this, whomever she is. I don't know if you're a male or female. But here's the thing. I'm not trying to be me. Here's the thing. You're talking like you are a nut job, bro. I'm done trying to talk to a fool and answer him according to his folly, because that's who you are. So, done.
So, why are you a Levine Satanist?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Why would you want to be identified with the person? Kill, still.
He's cutting in and out, but kill, steal, and destroy. Why would you want to be?
That's like praising cancer or AIDS or that's just self-destruct. Why are you pro-death? You hate yourself that much to.
How do you know you only have one life? You just asserted that you knew you had one life. Well, did you not assert that? So in other words, you make an assertion, I quote your assertion, and then when I repeat back to you your assertion, you say, "Oh, I'm not going to argue about it." Yeah, well, you said you have one life to live. How do you know that you just have this one life to live? Okay, so let me ask you this. This question. So when you say there's no evidence for the afterlife, does that include ruling out the Bible as the authenticating revelation of God that there is and will be an afterlife? Okay, now how do you know that? Why not? Well, how do you? Okay, in order to have evidence for something, does it not have to be authenticated? Can you have evidence? See, notice the evasiveness. Can you have evidence that is not authenticated? Okay, so you can have evidence without authentication. Who would that if? No, it's not a matter of it's reliable. Then who's to say it's evidence? Yeah, listen, dude, I'm not trying to be mean. Listen, I'm truly not trying to be mean, but you're a dumb teenager. You think you're smart. No, listen. I'm actually being critical of you, but I'm helping you. You are a dumb teenager. You don't have critical thinking skills. Your brain is not fully developed, okay? And you're like a lot of teenagers who are skeptics, who think that you've gained a level of wisdom that you haven't attained yet. You're not even understanding. In order to call something evidence, to say that is evidence, the very act of calling something evidence is authenticating it. Otherwise, how would you know it's evidence? So now the question is, how how is something authenticated? You're going to have to appeal to some final court of appeal or authority. Now, when you say that there's no proof of an afterlife, you are categorically stating that the Bible is not the self-attesting, self-authenticating revelation of God about the afterlife. How did you conclude not the infallible Word of God? Okay, that's not an answer to my question. When God gives revelation in whatever form he does, because of his nature, it is in principle self-attesting and self-authenticating. Now, how, I'll repeat the question that you didn't answer. How did you determine that the Bible is not the infallible, inerrant Word of God? Yeah, well, what here, unfortunately, then, if you don't know that, then you're going to have to take back your statement that there is no proof of the afterlife. Because if you say, let me explain it to you. See, because you don't possess critical thinking skills, okay? When you get older, your ability to have critical thinking skills improves due to life experiences. Now, when you say there is no proof, listen to me carefully. You see, when you're young and stupid you think just being argumentative makes for good debate. No, it just reveals that you're young and stupid. Now, don't overtalk me, please. Please do not overtalk me. Okay? I have a notation down here on your account. It says Mortiz, argumentative teenager, muted. Okay? Now, why do you think I put that notation down in there several days ago?
Because you censor people who don't
if you're
agree with
going to, please do not overtalk me. Now, since you assert there is no proof of an afterlife, then what you were saying is there is nothing that you can appeal to on earth that authenticates the afterlife. Well, that's going to include the Bible, does it not?
I'm not going to have this argument with you.
I asked you a fair question.
One that
is
I'm
an
not
implication
going to answer
from
because
your
I'm
assertion.
not going to argue with you.
When you stated that there is no proof of the afterlife, that means there is nothing on earth that can authenticate the afterlife. Is that correct?
I'm not going to argue with you.
Honestly, dude, why are you here?
So in other words, you want to make so do you want to make unauthenticated assertions?
I'm just going to ignore you now.
Do you want to make assertions without proof? Don't you object to somebody making assertions without proof?
Duncan, can I please say this like a real quick something?
Yeah, I have to take a break. I have a short errand I have to run.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Yeah. Who am I speaking to again? Mortiz? Yeah. I have a almost 17-year-old, and recently, and I'm not trying to compare because that could be really foolish, but I think maybe it might get to you, maybe it won't. But I hear from Darth is in any way, shape, or form not trying to demean you, belittle you. He's just speaking the truth to you.
Yeah, and I couldn't even refute what he was saying because he just kept telling me to stop talking.
Well, the reason why
unless you can prove that A, God exists, B, the Bible is written by him, and C, that the translation is accurate, then that doesn't count as evidence for anything.
Well,
you have to validate the Bible and God for that to be true.
That's a lie that you couldn't refute anything because he supposedly didn't let you talk.
Right.
Because
Exactly,
I'm gonna tell you this. Many times, not many times, but at least 2 or 3 times, I've had conversations with you where I did not mute you, I didn't interrupt you or anything like that, and you still wouldn't answer your question. So you're just deliberately lying through your teeth. That's not the reason why you don't answer questions. You don't answer questions because you get pinned down to something that you can't answer, and then you want to make an excuse about it, and then try to play the victim.
Antonio, check this out. He says it's written by a man, so he can't trust it. But yeah, he's a man wanting you to trust his words. You trust Anton's faith.
Because my words have evidence and the Bible doesn't.
No, okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Here, Carlos, please help me if I need it. Or Anton, please help me. Any of you brothers that I know or getting to know, please help me if I get a little too strong. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm really not. But you just have another witness. You had 3 people witness to you the truth. You're about to have a 4th. If we didn't care about you, then we wouldn't be telling you. I mean, when oftentimes teenagers, because all of us who are no longer quote unquote teenagers, and that's a crazy word, but quote unquote teenagers, we done the same thing. Darth would admit that. Anton would admit that. Carlos would admit that. I'm admitting that we were stupid.
Well,
Okay,
if you
that's just a fact of life.
If you genuinely believe that, then you would also have to believe that it's pretty much impossible to convince a teenager of everything. Therefore, this argument is pointless.
Okay, hold on a sec. That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Mordecai, this is the problem talking with you. You take a few statements, you take 1 or 2 statements here and there, and then you extrapolate them way out their context. You don't attempt to ask anybody for clarification. You just revel on stuff and assume you have to correct.
Amen.
Like nobody said anything that about it being impossible to connect with.
Right. I've been a youth leader, bro. People connected with me. What are we talking about? No. I mean, I have a son who was pretty stubborn and hard-headed, and I don't know. I'm not going to try to do that, but he's a very intelligent young man. He's been trained for quite a few years now in the scripture, and now increasingly in philosophy and just name it, economics, just keep going down the line. He's equipped to debate, but for his age especially. But here's the thing, he recently said to me, and this is to the glory of God, he recently said to me a lot of things, but he said he's sorry. He's sorry for arguing, he's sorry for listening, and it's almost like the scales have been lifted and from his eyes. And God is working on him mightily. And, we could talk about evidences and why it's real or not real. But at the end of the day, bro, like Anton said, like Carlos and like Duncan is saying, you don't want to listen. He didn't want to listen. I didn't want to listen. All these guys that are talking to you at one point didn't want to listen. It don't mean that at some point we can't listen. It just means right now you're not listening. And
I'll tell you,
yes, go ahead.
You think that philosophy is really enlightening? Well, that LaVey Satanism, whatever they call it these days, and it's really not. Really, it's just darkness disguised as light. That's all that really is.
You clearly haven't read the Satanic Bible, though.
Bondage.
Actually, you don't really know what Carlos has read. He's very well.
Well, actually, if he had read it, he'd realize everything he's saying is completely false.
Well, maybe it's because you're confused about what you believe. Yeah.
No, it's because I've actually read the book.
Okay, so maybe some of us has. Do you know?
Yeah,
see, you're talking about knowledge.
Sacrificing human beings and stuff like that.
Right. You're talking about knowledge. Listen, you're talking about knowledge, okay? And you're talking about what you can know. Thank you for letting me speak, sir. You're talking, and see, that's being more mature. I appreciate that. And I want to hear what you have to say. But
I don't interrupt people when they talk unless I have to.
Okay, but listen, this is Darth's server.
What do you mean, unless you have to?
Yeah, thank you.
How do you know that that's not Darth doing the same thing?
Right, amen. And this is like his house right here. You don't know. I mean, let me calm down. You've been not taught, sir, about how to respect people in their own house.
I think you misinterpreted what I said.
Okay, please explain.
I'm just saying I don't talk over people.
Okay, but you made comments about Darth already.
Oh, a second. I'm getting an important phone call.
All right, brother. Good to hear. You've been, saying you've made accusations that seem really unfounded. Like so you live with your parents, right? You're a teenager, yeah. I assume, right? Okay, I presume rather. Right. So, you know what? Does your mom and dad, and I don't know your situation, I've had a really rough home life, and several of us that are talking to you has as well. So it's not like we're not compassionate, okay? Are you saying that your parents let you interrupt them every 5 seconds and let you treat them any way that you want in their house? I'm not saying you do that. I'm just asking a question.
What's your point?
Okay. If you answer, and you let me know that you understand, so that I'm not saying something against you I shouldn't say, and I'm not trying to be against you. Let me put it this way. Do you treat your parents any way that you want in their house?
No, I just don't interrupt people.
Okay, you're stuck on this interruption, bro. But here's the deal. Because you really, like Anton said, Carlos and Darth, you really, Duncan, you really aren't paying attention. Antonio, sorry. Thank you, brother. Thank you. He ain't here, but I'll have to tell him. I'm sorry if I remember. But Antonio, thank you, brother. So, like Antonio and Carlos and myself, my name's right there. My name's there, bro. Come holler at me. You hear me?
Okay.
Here's the thing. When you don't interrupt, okay, but so you're telling me you've never interrupted your parents?
Not unless there's an emergency or something that I need to let them know about.
Okay. So maybe Darth. Okay, so maybe Darth is doing some of the same thing you're saying. Have you ever thought about that? This is more essentially his house. I mean, we live in a virtual world, and I'm not really trying to say anything about young people. This is just a general statement, okay? Because this happens with older folk and people older than me, even. Not as much, but it does. This is virtually his place. Like, he has a hall, a bar. I mean, just paint a picture that's accurate. And so for you to talk to him any way that you want, first off, because he is your elder, it is disrespectful all day. All day. And I heard you interrupting. Second, so you don't interrupt people, bro. You got witnesses here that has. Second, you may not realize it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That's between you and God. It sure seems like you do. But, you have people that are trying to help you, and you don't want to listen. You're stubborn. And that's what the Bible calls foolish. And that's a fool is a very dangerous thing to be. And, I appreciate you not interrupting me. I really do. But that's his house, bro. Or like you go in another man's car. And I like to think by what you say that your parents taught you better. Maybe not. I don't know you, really. I don't know your parents. I know what you're saying and acting like, but I'm not trying to, judge you in an unrighteous way. What I'm trying to say, though, is if you have been taught manners and respect, then you need to learn that sometimes you can be interrupted and it's not disrespectful. First off, it can be an emergency. Maybe it's an emergency because you don't listen and he wants you to hear the truth. Did you ever think of that? Okay.
Those are some good words, man. But in the end, man, that path you're on is a path of reprobation, man. And we just encourage you to walk towards the light of Christ, because you don't want.
Well, trust in Jesus. What's your name? Antonio, right?
Yeah, I didn't hear a word.
Okay.
Keys connection or your connection, something's happening. What are you trying to get at?
His volume was low.
Okay, my bad, brother.
Not at least for me. I don't know if it is for anybody else.
Okay, I just want to say.
Could you repeat that?
Like earlier, you said Satanism is just darkness and lies, right? And you mentioned some stuff about human sacrifice. With all due respect, not trying to sound like a douchebag, but genuinely, read the book, and then realize none of that shit's in it. It just doesn't happen. We don't kill people.
So LeVay didn't participate in sacrifices?
No, we don't do that.
Accurately saying? Well, you should read his autobiography then.
Yep. You should maybe not be seduced by quote unquote, definitionally speaking. Thank you, Carlos, for letting me tag team this. Real quick, somebody that just wants to deceive you. Because like I say, young man, and I don't say this, I'm not saying this to put you down. I'm trying to say that as a respectful thing. I'm trying to teach you like you're a young man physically and not like a teenager. So, you get on the server and Duncan and others will treat you like a young man in some ways and that's respectful, not disrespectful. You just may not be used to it, and that's okay. Hopefully, you'll learn to accept someday that there are orders and roles and responsibilities for everyone. But like I say, you really don't understand what Carlos has read. I know a lot more of what he has and hasn't read because we've talked countless hours, and we've messaged each other for what, 3 years now, probably, Carlos. So you really don't understand how much he studied cults and false religions and Satanism. You have no idea what the background is. You don't know what the man has or hasn't suffered. You're just assuming.
Which is my favorite things to study. Thing I know about a lot of these Satanists and Luciferians is that they love to give this pretense of how it's just merely a philosophy, while behind doors, a lot of them are part of these wicked Crowleyan sex cults practicing black magic and stuff like that. That's what they
Now,
to keep things.
now, Mortiz, you said that there is no proof of the afterlife, which would include the Bible. Were you the one who determined that the Bible is not proof or evidence of the afterlife?
Yes.
Okay. And what makes your reasoning capacity the authority?
Because I am not the writer of the book, and I don't have anything to gain by saying that it's true or false.
You didn't understand the question. Okay. How is your mind and cognition authoritative to make the judgment that the Bible is not the authoritative word of God?
Because I'm not.
How is your authority to judge whether or not the Bible is or is not?
I'm not judging it for you or anyone else. I'm just saying to me. It's
No,
not.
I asked you. No, listen. You're not listening. See, what you're doing is you're in teenager mode. Okay. You're not listening to my question. What demonstrates that your mind and reasoning is authoritative, especially when it pronounces judgment about the Bible?
Well, I'm authoritative over my own beliefs, just by default.
No, what makes your reasoning authoritative?
Because it's my own.
Did everybody hear that?
I'm authoritative to my own beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out, Duncan, because that grieved my heart.
Yeah, this is okay. So we're done. Okay. I'm gonna mute him.
Amen.
And the reason why I'm muting him is not because I'm upset or angry, it's because I'm not trying to be mean. He's just too stupid as a teenager to know how incompetent he is right now. Maybe in a few years, when his brain matures and he develops more critical thinking skills, he doesn't realize how incoherent he is.
Correct.
He just simply stated, well, his mind is authoritative is because he's using it. I mean that doesn't tell me that your cognition is authoritative. Okay, so I mean, listen. He's not mature, and he's simply an argumentative teenager. That's why I put down in the user notes on his account from several days ago that he was an argumentative teenager, because what happens is people change their names and then they come back in the room, and it's impossible to remember everybody's voice quality. So that's why I have to put down notations for these people.
That's good. I take that advice. I mean, you were given in directly. I thank you for that. Okay.
So any further discussion with him would be a waste of time.
Right, like Yugi.
See, when he says that the Bible is not authoritative to be evidence of the afterlife, then he's either appealing to his own authority or to some external authority. Well, what authenticates that? Okay? And he basically had no answer.
Yep.
AJ related.
See, if the Bible, as the revelation from God, is not the final and ultimate authority to determine everything that it speaks on, either directly or in principle, then something else will be. And so when people reject the Bible on the grounds that it hasn't met sufficient authentication and that it is not self-authenticating, then what authenticates their capacity to adjudicate that the Bible is not self-authenticating?
Hey, how you doing, Mom?
I agree.
Carlos, our trust, I have your volume turned up to 2% and I can barely hear you.
I'm sorry, my bad. No, I was actually talking to somebody else.
Yeah, but your microphone is really, really, really weak.
Yeah, it's my headphones. They're not really like microphone type of headphones, but so it's gonna be really low. I apologize.
Yeah, and Antonio, I misspoke your name earlier. I wanted to tell you. Sorry about that, bro. Carlos corrected me. So I
Yeah,
don't,
I
you
had
know.
no idea. I wasn't even listening. So I
No,
didn't.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I wanted to tell you that though.
he called you Anton. He said
Yeah, I
you're a
didn't mean to.
closet
Oh,
No,
Satanist.
I did not. No, I did not.
Like, dude, it almost got serious here.
I think Antonio probably knows me from last night enough. I hope I wouldn't do
yeah,
that. I wouldn't.
of course.
You know, my dude.
But yeah, it's also a fad. A lot of these teenagers they try to adopt that whole Satan stuff to kind of like